What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Elevate, Dominate Downline here at EXP. Today we have Henry Eisenstein. Is it Eisenstein or Eisenstein? Eisenstein on. Super excited, and he's one of the most successful people in our downline that runs an awesome team and is constantly giving value to the people around him. So, Henry, what's the story, man? How'd you get into this?
Long story short, I was working a 9-to-5 job, and I thought I was on the top of the world just as a newly college dropout, making basically like 60 grand a year and king of the world at the time. And then a friend of mine was like, listen, man, why don't we go get a real estate licenses? I got a buddy of mine who's 20 years old, 21 years old, and he's making 20 grand a month. I was like, 20 grand a month. I was like, I know that guy, and I can work harder than he can. So I can definitely do that too. And I'm watching $1 Million Listing. I can do this. So anyways, I quit my job before I even got licensed because I just knew I couldn't manage both.
Yep.
And my first year, I didn't sell a single freaking house for about 11 months.
So it launched just as you had written it up, right? It was like perfect, everything, not a problem at all.
Yeah. It was a little rough.
and I've heard so many stories like that too. But I like that you committed to it. You're like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go do this. I personally, I sold my landscaping company before I had my real estate license. I didn't have any income, and got into found out the hard way that this business is not as easy as it seems to be. So 11 months in, what was there a shift that happened there?
No, I got really lucky, and I joined. The only person I knew in real estate was like a family friend who did REOs. So imagine watching $1 Million Listing New York and having this grandiose vision of what real estate is, and then you join an REO only team, and you're a runner who takes pictures of people's houses as well as evicts them.
Yeah, that's when you're handing the letter to them and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, so that was my first 11 months in the business. And then what really switched was I got lucky and sold 2 houses, was buy and a sell, made like 25 grand. And I invested all into Tom Ferry coaching. The very first thing that they said to do was go to their next event, which is where David DeVoe was speaking. So 2 weeks later, I was working for him.
Nice. And that was Sea Caucus, right? Wasn't that like Sales Edge, or I can't think of the name.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. No, those are great events too. I don't know if they're still doing them live, but definitely. Yeah, plug in. That's a good. I personally coach with the Tom Ferry organization, so it's been good to me. So you plugged into the DeVoe, his massive team, a lot of great systems and stuff like that, and just you started cranking. You were still doing the REO business too within his umbrella, right?
Yeah. So I in the interim, I guess we found a way to do it ourselves, and we connected. And I mean, look, I owe a lot to him and a few other great mentors to me that really taught me the art of being on the phone. So everyone knew me as the cold calling kid. I just would sit on the dialer for hours and hours and hours, and I loved it. And it's really how I generated a lot of my business back in the day.
I feel like there's so many too that created that base on that, and it creates that like muscle where you're honestly any sales job is like it's being in conversations with people. So however they come about, and I think that now maybe you're more of create content, put it out there, and people reach out to you as a result of that. But you certainly know what to say as when those phone calls come in, because you've gone through the Navy SEAL boot camp, the Hell Week of making your calls and doing your time. So you're a master at having conversations with people.
There is no better true understanding of sales and communication than making cold calls and really, trying to set up, like there's no better practice for that.
Now, did you do like when you first, and I just want to dig into this like for a smidge, when you first got into the cold calling side of things, was it just like, shit, man, this is awesome, I'm going to do this, and had no issues taking massive action, and then from there kind of tweaked your skills and whatnot to make your conversion rates better? Or did you get into like some of those like days where you're like, shit, I don't feel like calling today?
So the funniest thing ever, and this is a true story, my first mentor, that woman who had the REOs, tried to get me to make cold calls. Okay, very new in my career. And I told her word for word that I would rather go to the mall and set up a kiosk stand and talk to people that way than make cold calls, which is, just kind of ridiculous at this point. But I was terrified. I originally, I remember that the first thing that she told me, luckily, was just go for no. Get 10 no's a day and she'll be thrilled.
Yep.
And then eventually I kind of, I started learning what to say, and then I started learning my scripts and I started getting a little bit more comfortable. But, now I've made over a million cold calls in my career. And, listen, we all definitely have those fears at the beginning. If you don't know what to say, you might be a little fearful.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like for me, DeVoe and I go way back too. I mean, it was 2008, 2009, and he and I were calling for sale by owners. And I feel like for me, it was easier to call before I knew too much. And then I started getting in my head. It was actually like, well, what if Michael Klein, who was a really big agent in our area at the time, what if Michael Klein's calling that same for sale by owner? And I started, my brain started to do these wild tricks on me. And actually DeVoe mentioned a book called Taming Your Gremlin. And that's when I started to go and personally started going to more of the mindset side of things, because it was interesting what the mind can play some wild tricks on you. So
that's for sure. I mean, look, it was really just me and the man in the mirror just holding me back.
Definitely. So you hammered through your prospect and your boom, 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 boom. And then, and first off too, just so everybody can understand, you were young, right? You were what, 22 when this, 24 maybe?
Yeah, I got into business at 2021. And then I was with David at like 22.
Yeah. So just so everybody understands, like cold calling at a super young age. And then, so no excuses. If you there is no, I'm too young for this. You just hammered down and you did it. And then from there, where are you now, and where are you planning on going? I know you're recently engaged. Like the whole life I feel like is evolving for you, and it's so much fun to see.
Yeah. And as we're talking, my dog's sitting on my lap, right? So it's just, yeah, I mean, listen, over the last, few years, I've done over 150 mil in sales. I've scaled teams, and now I have a pretty tight, small team, a buyer's agent, transaction team, and a runner. And we do, 30 plus mil a year. I would have never thought ever that I'd be in where I'm at. Now I do a lot of investment business on my own. I own multiple investment properties. I'm flipping, 2-3 houses a month. It's insane. I never thought that this would be where it's at. And now it's just the bigger focus is, scale my team up to, between the 50 and $75 million mark. I just want to continue to net $1 million a year and focus more on the investment side.
Yep.
And build up my investment portfolio.
Yeah, the one thing I've noticed too is when you start to make very good money, you don't need a lot of money within the one thing. It kind of like you can start, as long as you're not an idiot with the way you're spending and stuff like that. Grant Cardone says if you can put 40% of your income away, whether it's investment property, savings, whatever it may be, if you can do that for 10 years, you're done.
Agreed.
So and then he goes into so if it's $400,000 a year, if you can put 40% of that away, then that's your number. If you can't with that, then you need to make more money, or you need to change your expenses, and that's kind of how you go in and solve that problem. But it's so true. I mean, even saving 20% a year, or allocating 20% to investments starts to snowball into a pretty decent number. So it's awesome that you're doing that, because that goes that there needs to be an end game in this whole thing for everybody. Otherwise, you're going to eventually burn out, and you're going to have nothing.
Yeah, I was going to say, you sell real estate to the day you die. There's no point.
Yeah, and I think our average age for realtors is like 59 or 62 or something nationwide. It's a pretty high number. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know some realtors that are 75, 78 that are retired from their old business. This is more of a hobby. And then they're actually insanely good at it and selling a ton. But that's a different reason. It's more of you don't want to be that agent that comes in at 30 and just grinds for the next 6 years of his life with nothing at the end of it.
Agreed.
So what advice would you give, a new agent or a seasoned agent coming into this world, or what are some tips that they can immediately implement?
This device that is sitting in your hand or you're watching us on will make you millions and millions and millions of dollars if you know how to use it. And by know how to use it, it's just pick up the phone and actually call people. I mean, listen, you have a contact list that you probably haven't spoke to in forever, and those people still have to buy and sell real estate, and you might be too scared to contact them for whatever reason, but they're going to refer somebody. It might as well be you. But more than anything, it's get on the phones. I'm trying to see where the camera is. Get on the phones. Buy this product. If you're pitching people on buying this product, that's this real estate product that changes people's lives all the time, you need to get your hands on it too. And listen, don't be afraid to grind for 2 or 3 or 4 years. Put your head down and just freaking build. I mean, there's so many of us who want to be more about the flash and more about and listen, I was a huge advocate of flash and all that kind of stuff when I was younger, just starting to, build up. But thankfully, I really focused on just making a lot of money, putting a lot of money away, and putting that money to work. Because like we were saying before, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much you keep and how much you invest. So you can eventually choose to sell real estate, not be forced to sell real estate every day.
Definitely. And on the realtor side of things, and with your team, what is your service area? If anybody wanted to reach out to you and send some business your way.
Primarily it's Monmouth, Ocean, and Middlesex County, central New Jersey.
Okay.
I know that you guys from the north call it the south, but
and yeah, you guys, yeah. It's funny. I'm in Somerset County now too, so I'm technically Central Jersey too, depending on where they're. I'm on
is such a thing.
Central Jersey.
There is such a thing.
And then also too, if somebody wanted to come into your world here at EXP and they're like, dude, I like what you're saying. I want to plug in. I want to learn more from you. What is a good way? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Instagram, YouTube. I mean, you name it. Just plug in my name, Google it, Henry Eisenstein. At just about anywhere you'll find me.
Awesome, dude. Well, I really appreciate you coming on this broadcast, and really appreciate you being a part of our family, man. I'm always learning from you. I'm always watching the content you put out there. So keep up the awesome work.
Likewise, brother. Thank you.